After I drove my daughter to the ferry terminal in Sowasan, our housekeeper of 12 years sent me a text that stopped my heart. Mr. Pruitt, don't come home. Open the security app, right now. I pulled into the security app, right now. I pulled into the first parking lot I could find, hands already shaking, and opened the cameras. What I saw on that screen, my wife of 26 years standing in our driveway, watching a man I barely recognized. Tape something underneath my truck. I nearly blacked out. Thank you for being here. Drop a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. Or just type, I'm here. That camera footage saved everything. Without it, I'd be sitting in a cell right now for something I never did. Stay with me and I'll show you how I fought back. Quick note, this story includes creative elements for educational purposes, but the lesson is real. The morning fog was thick coming off the Fraser River. November in the lower mainland, everything gray and wet. I gripped the wheel of my Silverado heading south on Highway 99 toward the BC Ferries terminal. My daughter Meredith sat beside me, earbuds in, staring out the window like the marshlands were the most interesting thing she'd ever seen. 24 years old, heading back to Victoria after a weekend visit that felt more like a hostage negotiation. She hadn't said more than 10 words since we left the house in Langley. I tried one more time. You sure you got everything? Your mother packed those salmon fillets for your freezer. She pulled out one earbud. Yeah. Got it. Meredith, listen. I know things have been, Dad, flat, final. Can we just not do this right now? I swallowed the rest and watched the road. When did my kid stop talking to me? When did I become someone she endured instead of someone she loved? We pulled into the terminal lot just before the 9 o'clock sailing. Meredith grabbed her duffel before I'd even turned off the engine. She paused, hand on the door handle. For half a second, I thought she might turn around, say something real. Instead, she glanced back, eyes aimed somewhere past my shoulder. Bye, Dad. No hug, no smile. Just the door closing and her disappearing into the crowd of foot passengers, heading for the Queen of Cowichan. I sat there with the engine idling, watching until I couldn't pick her out anymore. 24 years I'd raised that girl. Taught her to skate on Coltis Lake, helped her with science projects until midnight, drove her to every volleyball tournament from Kamloops to Kelowna. Now I couldn't get her to look at me. My phone buzzed as I merged back onto the highway. Lucinda Reyes, our housekeeper. 61 years old, been with us 12 years. She never texted unless something was wrong. Mr. Pruitt, don't come home. Open the security app. Please, right now. My pulse kicked hard. I pulled into a Tim Hortons parking lot and opened the app. 4 cameras. Front porch, driveway, backyard, garage. We'd installed them 3 years ago after a string of break-ins along our street. Diane had insisted. I scrolled to the driveway feed and rewound. Timestamp 7:15 a.m. Right after Meredith and I had left. The video loaded and my blood turned to ice. There was my Silverado, parked in the driveway where I'd left it the night before. I had taken Diane's Hyundai to the terminal this morning. 3 people stood beside my truck. 2 men I didn't recognize. Dark talks, work jackets, and one I did. Keith Ridley. Mid-40s, always dressed sharp. Some kind of insurance consultant. Diane mentioned him sometimes. Said he worked on files with her brokerage. I watched, mouth dry, as Keith crouched beside my truck. One of the men handed him a package. Black, wrapped tight in packing tape. Maybe the size of a shoebox. Keith slid underneath the driver's side. 90 seconds. Then he came out, brushed off his knees, and pulled out his phone. 3 photos. Driver's side. Rear bumper. License plate. One of the men laughed. The other spoke into his phone, loud enough for the mic to catch. Done. He's cooked. Just like she wanted. Just like she wanted. I replayed it. Then again, my hand shook so hard I almost dropped the phone. I switched to the front porch camera. Rewound to 7,118 a.m. There, Diane stepping out in her work clothes, travel mug in hand. She glanced toward the driveway where Keith and the others were finishing up. She didn't look surprised, didn't call out. She smiled. Small, satisfied, like someone watching a plan come together exactly right. Then went back inside. I don't know how long I sat in that parking lot. The Tim Hortons drive-through line moved past me 3 times. The fog pressed against the windows, and I couldn't breathe. My wife, Diane. 26 years. The woman I'd built a life with in that house on Fraser Heights. The mother of my daughter. She just set me up. My phone buzzed again. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Mr. Pruitt, this is Lucinda. I'm using my niece's phone. They might be watching your phone. Meet me. I'll explain everything. Please don't go home. She sent an address, a coffee shop in Abbotsford, 40 minutes east. Every instinct told me to drive to the RCMP detachment. Show them the footage. But show them what? A package I hadn't opened. My wife standing in her own driveway. What crime could I prove? And if the Mounties searched my truck right now, they'd find whatever Keith planted. I'd be the one in handcuffs. I needed to know what I was dealing with first. I drove east toward Abbotsford, the Fraser Valley opening up around me, flat farmland under gray sky. Behind me, the city disappeared into the rain. And for the first time in 26 years of marriage, I understood something I'd been too blind to see. My wife had just tried to destroy me. Lucinda was waiting inside the coffee shop, a small place near the old downtown. She looked smaller than I remembered. Older. Her eyes were red, her hands wrapped around a cup she wasn't drinking. Mr. Pruitt. Her voice cracked. Lucinda, tell me everything. We sat in a corner booth. She wiped her face, then looked at me with an expression I recognized, the same one she'd had 8 years ago when I'd helped her. Gratitude mixed with something harder. Determination. Mrs. Pruitt and Keith Ridley, she said quietly. They've been together 9 months. The words hit like a fist. Together. You mean? Yes. An affair. I saw them twice in the house when you were away. April and June. 9 months. Had Diane seemed different? Distant? I'd been so consumed with the contracting business. With Meredith pulling away, I hadn't noticed. 3 days ago, Lucinda continued, I was upstairs cleaning. They were in the study. Mrs. Pruitt said, once he's arrested, we move fast. Sell the house. Liquidate the RRSPs, the TFSA, everything. I want him gone completely. And Keith laughed. He said, the Mounties will find exactly what we need them to find. My stomach dropped through the floor. And Meredith? I forced the words out. Silence. Then quietly, Mrs. Pruitt said, what about Meredith? Keith said, the kid's already on our side. She'll give a statement if we need her to, says her father's been erratic, unstable. The room tilted. Meredith. My daughter. Going to give a statement against me. Why are you helping me? I asked. Lucinda paused. Do you remember 8 years ago, my grandson Mateo? I did. Mateo Reyes, 4 years old. Born with a heart defect. Surgery in Vancouver, but Lucinda's extended health didn't cover it. The provincial wait list was months long. She'd needed to go private. $65,000. I'd pulled $40,000 from savings. Told Diane it was for new equipment for the business. Told Lucinda it was a gift, not a loan. Never mentioned it again. You saved my grandson's life, Mr. Pruitt. Her voice cracked. Mateo is 12 now. He plays hockey. He's in grade 7. Every time I watch him skate, I think of you. My eyes stung. So now I save you, she said. You are a good man. Mrs. Pruitt is not a good woman. She pulled a USB drive from her purse. I've been copying files from her laptop for 2 weeks. Every time I cleaned her study, she never locks it. Never logs out. She doesn't even see me in the room. Bitterness edged her voice. I'm invisible to her. She pressed it into my hand. What's on it? Emails, messages between her and Keith, bank statements. I don't know if it's enough, but it's something. I closed my fist around it. Be careful, she said. Keith isn't just an insurance man. I've seen him with people who frighten me. The line went dead between us. She stood, gripped my arm once, hard, then left. I sat there holding a USB drive in one hand and my entire life falling apart in the other. I had a place to go. My father's old fishing cabin near Harrison Lake. Diane had been there once, 15 years ago. Hated it. No cell service, no plumbing, nothing but trees and silence. She'd told me to sell it. I'd kept it anyway. Paid the property taxes every year through the business. Never told her. I stopped at a Scotiabank ATM in Chilliwack, pulled $2,000 in cash, turned off location services on my phone. Then I drove east into the mountains. The cabin was exactly as I'd left it. Cold, dusty, the smell of cedar and old wool blankets. I locked the door, shoved a chair into the handle, and plugged the USB into my laptop. 312 files. 6 months of emails between Diane and Keith Ridley. The first dozen were careful meeting times. Restaurants in Burnaby where nobody would recognize them. Then the tone shifted. February. We need to be careful. He's asking about the withdrawals from the joint account. March. How much longer do we have to pretend? April. I want him gone completely. No spousal support. No property split. Just gone. Then buried near the end. An email from Keith to Diane sent 3 weeks ago. Package is ready. I'll plant it the morning after he takes Meredith to the ferry. Once the RCMP finds it, we move fast. List the house within 48 hours. You'll have full control by end of week. Diane's reply. And Meredith? Keith, already handled. The kid will tell them her father's been unstable. Between that and the drugs, no court in BC will side with him. I closed the laptop and sat in the cold silence. They'd planned every detail. The drugs, the testimony, the asset seizure. This wasn't a divorce. It was an execution. But there was more. A subfolder I'd almost missed. KRMP correspondence. 86 emails. Keith Ridley and Meredith Pruitt. The first was dated 3 months ago. From Keith. Meredith, your mom mentioned you've been stressed. If you ever need someone to talk to outside the family stuff, I'm here. Innocent. Planting a seed. 2 weeks later, Meredith replied, Things are rough. I made some bad decisions. Got in over my head with something I can't talk about. I kept reading. And the picture got worse. Online sports betting. Legal in BC now, easy to access. Meredith had started small, $50 bets on Canucks games. Then thicker. Then much bigger. Total outstanding debt to a private book, $72,000. Keith's pitch came on cue. I can make this disappear. I have connections. In exchange, you help your mom through a difficult situation. You don't have to lie. Just tell the truth about how your father's been changing. And Meredith, drowning in shame, had said yes. He'd wired her $15,000, then sent her screenshots of the people she owed, men with assault convictions, connections to organized crime in the Lower Mainland. The message was clear, back out, and I can't protect you. Her last email, 2 weeks ago, I'm in. But I hate this. I closed the laptop. My daughter wasn't a villain. She was a 24-year-old who'd made terrible choices and been exploited by a man who knew exactly how to weaponize shame and fear. Keith had thrown her an anchor disguised as a lifeline. I grieved for her that night in the cabin, listening to rain on the tin roof and remembering her at 6 years old, skating on Coltis Lake, holding my hand so tight because she was afraid to fall. Don't let go, Daddy. And I never did. Until somewhere along the way, I had. The next 3 days I spent watching and building my case. I called Hector Brandt, my neighbor, 3 houses down, 65, retired millwright. Good man, quiet but solid. We'd shared beers on his deck for years, helped each other with snow removal every winter. I sent him a message through an old woodworking forum we both used. Vague but clear enough. He left his porch light on. Hector met me at his back fence after dark, handed me the package of cameras I'd shipped to his address without a word. Just a nod. "What do you need?" he asked. "Help me get into my own house." We installed 4 cameras while Diane was at her hot yoga class. Kitchen, study, master bathroom, garage. 18 minutes. In and out through the side door I'd built a secondary access point into during construction. A failsafe Diane never knew existed. The footage came fast. Diane on the phone with Keith. "He hasn't come home. He's either in custody or he ran." Keith laughing. "Either way, he's finished." Then worse. Diane in the kitchen, pouring drops from an unlabeled bottle into a coffee mug. My mug, the one she'd been bringing me every morning for months, insisting it was our little routine. Lucinda confirmed it. She'd been a nurse in Guatemala before coming to Canada. She recognized the substance, a mild hallucinogen, cumulative, designed to mimic early cognitive decline, memory problems, mood swings, paranoia, perfect for building a case that I was losing my mind. 6 months. Every morning. No wonder I'd felt foggy. I'd thought it was age, stress, maybe early signs of something I didn't want to name. But it was her. Building evidence that I was unraveling. I watched Diane FaceTime Meredith. Watched her tell our daughter I'd been changing, that she was scared, that she needed Meredith to be honest if things went to court. And Meredith, believing every word, slowly nodding. "Okay, Mom, if you say so. Once this is over, we can start fresh. You, me, and Keith. A real family." I stared at the screen, at the frozen image of my daughter's face. The doubt in her eyes. The forced smile. She didn't fully believe it. But she was too deep to climb out. On day 7, the story broke open. Lucinda posted in a Lower Mainland community Facebook group. No real names, but enough detail. Within hours, 500 shares. Comments pouring in. Then Hector, God bless him, posted publicly, "I know exactly who this is, and I'm standing with him." My friend Joel Kwan, IT security, met him on a job site years ago, built an anonymous blog, posted everything, emails, footage, bank records. The view count hit 8,000 in 2 days. CTV Vancouver tagged the story. The Vancouver Sun ran a brief. I watched the living room camera as Diane and Keith panicked. "Everything's online," Diane said, voice shaking. "The emails, the transfers, all of it." Keith stayed cold. "Then we finish this before the RCMP gets involved. We find him. We control the narrative. He's unstable, remember? This blog is exactly what a man having a breakdown would do." I saved every second of that footage. Meredith reached out on day 9. A text. "Dad, can we meet? I need to explain everything. Please." I called immediately. "Dad." Her voice cracked the way it used to when she was 12 and scared of thunderstorms. "Where are you?" "Vancouver. I took the ferry this morning. Mom doesn't know I'm here." "Why did you come back?" Silence. Then, because I saw the blog. We met at a diner off Highway 7 near Mission. She was in a back booth, hood up, head down. When she saw me, she stood, then froze. For a moment we just stared at each other. Then I crossed the room and pulled her into a hug. She broke, collapsed against me, sobbing the way she used to when she was little. "I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I know. I know everything." She told me about the gambling, the debt, the shame, how Keith had offered to help and she'd thought it was kindness, how Diana called her every week, painting me as dangerous, erratic, unraveling. "Did you know about the drugs in my truck?" I asked. Her head snapped up. "What drugs?" "Keith planted cocaine under my Silverado. They were going to have me arrested." She went white. "No. God, no. I didn't know about that." "Did you know about the affair?" "The what?" I showed her the footage. Diane and Keith in the kitchen, planning, laughing. She watched the screen drain of color and set the phone down. "She lied to me," Meredith whispered. "About everything?" Yeah. She put her head in her hands. I thought I was helping her. I thought you were the problem. Keith made sure you thought that. She looked up. Tears streaming. Dad, I took his money. I signed papers. I agreed to, because you were drowning and he threw you a rope. That's what predators do. But I should have trusted you. I reached across the table and gripped her hand. You're not the villain here. You're a victim. Just like me. We planned the confrontation for the next night. 8 o'clock. The house in Langley. Meredith texted Diane, coming home tomorrow. Need to see you. Love you. Diane's reply came in minutes. Can't wait, sweetheart. She had no idea. At 7:30, Hector, Meredith, and I did a final systems check. All cameras online. Joel had 1,500 people waiting on the blog stream. The Langley RCMP detachment had been contacted an hour earlier. Hector had sent them everything. Diane walked in at 8. Business clothes. Perfect hair. Keith behind her, confident as ever. Behind him, her lawyer, a woman named Caldwell from a firm in Surrey. 15,000 retainer from our joint account. Diane stopped when she saw me. Malcolm. Diane. Keith leaned against the doorframe. This should be interesting. I looked at Diane. Where's Meredith? She's meeting me here. She'll be here any. Good. I want her to hear this. I turned to my laptop. Joel, we're live. The stream notification popped. 200 viewers. Then 500. Diane's eyes flicked to the screen. What is that? 1,500 people have been following this story, and now they're watching. Her face drained. I played the driveway footage. Keith crouching under my truck. The package. The photos. The voice. He's cooked. Just like she wanted. The chat exploded. I played the kitchen footage. Diane pouring drops from the unlabeled bottle into my coffee mug. Stirring. Setting it on the counter where I always grabbed it. Diane's lawyer stood up pale. Mrs. Pruitt, you told me your husband was fabricating. He doctored those videos, Diane snapped. Deep fakes. You can't. I played the next clip. Diane and Keith 2 nights ago. Keith saying the package is still in his truck. RCMP finds it, we give an anonymous tip. He gets arrested. This goes away. Diane and Meredith. Keith, the kid testifies just like we planned. The viewer count had 3,000. The lawyer picked up her briefcase. I'm withdrawing as your counsel. Effective immediately. She walked out. Diane turned to Keith. Do something. Keith said nothing. Now, Meredith, I said, come out. Diane's face went white. Horror spreading. Meredith stepped through the kitchen doorway. Steady. Pale. But standing. Meredith. Diane's voice broke. Sweetheart, I can explain. Stop. Meredith held up a hand. Stop. Meredith held up a hand. Just stop. She turned to the camera. My name is Meredith Pruitt. I'm 24 years old. My mother and Keith Ridley manipulated me into giving a false statement against my father. 3 months ago, I got into debt. Gambling, $72,000. Keith offered to help. He paid $15,000 up front. Said he'd cover the rest if I told the RCMP my dad was unstable. She looked at Diane. I thought I was protecting you. I didn't know about the drugs. I didn't know about the poison. I didn't know you were sleeping with him. Diane reached for her. Meredith, you have to understand. I did this for us. You did this for yourself. Meredith's voice was ice. Dad built this house. He put me through university. He saved Lucinda's grandson. He's the best man I know. And you tried to destroy him. Red and blue lights swept across the front windows. Corporal Sandra Flett walked in first. Behind her, 2 constables. She looked around the room, at me, at Meredith, at Diane on the couch, at Keith by the door. Diane Pruitt, Keith Ridley, you're both under arrest. Diane's head snapped up. What? Conspiracy to commit fraud, filing a false police report, administering a noxious substance. Possession with intent to frame. They led them out. Diane still screaming. Keith silent and cold. At the door, Diane turned and looked at me one last time. Hate in her eyes. You'll regret this. I met her stare. I already do. I regret the last 26 years. The door closed. The sirens faded. Meredith stood beside me, face wet, breathing hard. On the laptop, 4,000 people watching. Dad, she whispered. I'm so sorry. I pulled her close. I know, kid. I know. 2 months later, the trial wrapped up in New Westminster. The Crown prosecutor laid out everything: footage, emails, bank records, lab results confirming the hallucinogen. Diane was sentenced to 5 years. Keith got 7. The judge noted 2 prior cases with the same pattern in Alberta. Meredith cooperated fully. The Crown offered a deal: probation, community service, restitution for the money she'd accepted, monthly payments over 4 years. She took it without hesitation. I kept the house. Diane forfeited all claims. The court ordered restitution from assets she'd hidden in a separate account at a credit union in Abbotsford. I donated it, half to a gambling addiction recovery program through the Responsible Gambling Council, half to a legal aid fund for families affected by domestic fraud. 3 months after the confrontation, I walked into a small cafe in Fort Langley. Meredith was already there. Corner table, 2 coffees. Lucinda arrived a few minutes later carrying a foil-wrapped plate. Tamales, she said. Mateo helped me make them. We sat. We ate. We talked about small things. The weather turning cold, Hector's latest furniture project, Mateo's hockey season. Then Meredith set down her coffee. Dad, I enrolled at Kwantlen, starting in January, and I'm seeing a counselor. For the gambling. For everything. I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. I'm proud of you. Her eyes filled. I know saying sorry isn't enough. I know I can't undo what I did. You already started. She wiped her face. I got a job too. Warehouse shifts at a distribution center in Surrey. It's not much, but it'll cover the restitution payments. Meredith, you don't have to. Yeah, I do. She looked at me. I took that money. I have to pay it back on my own. Lucinda reached over, patted Meredith's hand. You're a good girl. You made mistakes, but you're fixing them. That's what matters. Lucinda turned to me. 8 years ago, you gave me my grandson. Now, I give you back your daughter. My throat tightened. You didn't just give her back, Lucinda. You saved both of us. She shook her head. No. You saved each other. Meredith looked at me across the table. Dad, do you think we'll be okay? I thought about everything. The fear, the betrayal, the cabin, the cameras, the courtroom, but I also thought about this moment. The 3 of us sitting together in a small cafe in Fort Langley, while rain streaked the windows and the Fraser River ran quiet beyond the trees. Yeah, I said. I think we will. It's going to take time, isn't it? A lot of time. She nodded. I'm ready, however long it takes. Lucinda raised her coffee cup. To new beginnings. We clinked cups. Meredith spilled hers on the table, and we all laughed. The kind of laugh that comes after you've been holding your breath for months. Looking back at everything that happened, I learned something I wish I'd known 26 years ago. Trust, but verify. Don't ignore the signs. Don't let love blind you to the truth. I trusted Diane completely. Never questioned, never checked the accounts, never asked where the money went. I thought trust meant closing your eyes. I was wrong. Trust means keeping them open and choosing to stay anyway. Don't be like me. Don't wait until your life is falling apart to ask questions. Don't let shame keep you silent when you need help, and don't assume the people closest to you have your best interests at heart. When I was hiding in that cabin near Harrison Lake, terrified and alone, God put Lucinda in my path. When I needed proof, He gave me the courage to go back into my own house like a stranger. When I thought I'd lost Meredith forever, He brought her home. Protect yourself. Protect your family. Watch your accounts. Know where your money goes. And if someone you love tries to isolate you, manipulate you, or turn your children against you, don't wait. Don't hope it gets better. Act. Meredith and I are healing now, slowly, one day at a time. It's not perfect, but it's real. And that's all we can ask for. Drop a 2 in the comments if you made it to the end. I'd love to know you were here. This story blends real-life lessons with creative elements for reflection and learning. If it spoke to you, consider subscribing and sharing it with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes the stories we share can save a life.